At 104 years old, Eleanor Whitaker had become something of a legend in her quiet lakeside town, where people often paused on their morning walks just to glimpse the graceful figure tending her rose garden or humming old jazz tunes on her porch. Her life had stretched across more than a century of human triumphs and trials, 2 world wars, the rise of computers, space travel, and 100 revolutions in medicine. Yet the most profound challenge she ever faced wasn't the passage of time itself, but the creeping fear of losing herself to Alzheimer's disease, a condition that had stolen the sparkle of a beloved sister's eyes and muted the laughter of friends she once knew so well. Years earlier, as the whispers of memory lapses began to nudge at her confidence, Eleanor made a vow to herself that she would fight with every ounce of her spirit to preserve not just her longevity but her clarity of mind, refusing to succumb silently to a fate that had claimed the stories and identities of many around her. She started with the basics. Nutrition, where her plate was a vibrant palette of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean proteins, each meal seasoned not just with herbs and spices but with mindfulness and joy. She rarely touched processed foods, knowing from careful research that inflammation, a consequence of a diet heavy in sugars and additives, could quietly undermine her brain health. Every morning she walked for miles around the lake, not hurriedly, but with a steady rhythm that matched the flutter of her heart and the grateful beat of her thoughts, because she believed, and the science supported her, that cardiovascular health was tightly linked to cognitive resilience. As her feet brushed grass and gravel, she greeted neighbors by name, asked about their children, and joked about the changing colors of the sky, exercising her social brain as much as her body. Eleanor also embraced lifelong learning, filling her afternoons with books, puzzles, and conversations that challenged her to think, analyze, and remember, from ancient history to quantum physics, refusing to let her mind idle or drift into complacency. Though the world around her often buzzed with noise, she took time each evening to sit in silence, meditating on gratitude and breathing deeply, understanding that stress was a silent saboteur of memory and peace. She maintained her independence as long as possible, not because she feared help, but because she treasured autonomy, the right to dress herself, to make her own tea with lemon and a drizzle of honey, to decide which flowers to prune and which to let flourish. Along the way, Eleanor kept close contact with her physician, who monitored her health markers and encouraged her adherence to preventive strategies proven in scientific studies to reduce the risk of cognitive decline, everything from blood pressure management to staying mentally active. But she also complemented medical guidance with her own wisdom, gained through decades of resilience and reflection. Her friends often asked her secret. "How do you stay so sharp, so full of life at an age when most have already surrendered to memories fading like the light of dusk?" To them she would smile, eyes twinkling, and say that the secret wasn't a single thing but a mosaic of choices, loving deeply, living purposefully, moving joyfully, eating with intention, and never underestimating the power of a curious mind. When people listened to Eleanor's story, many responded with inspiration, others with skepticism, wondering whether lifestyle alone could stave off the genetic tides that pulled so many toward dementia. But Eleanor countered gently, insisting that while nothing in life is guaranteed, the courage to pursue brain health with fervor, to nourish body and mind, made all the difference between fading away and continuing to bloom like the roses she tended. Her sister, once vibrant and witty, had gradually slipped into silence, a casualty of Alzheimer's that had taught Eleanor a painful lesson in awareness, that awareness must be met with action, and that action begins with simple, everyday decisions that compound into protection over years and decades. As she aged, Eleanor kept photographs of her family close, laughing over memories with visitors, recounting stories of her youth. Dancing at sock hops in the 40s, watching the first moon landing on a flickering black and white television, welcoming grandchildren into the world, each narrative an exercise in memory recall that she treated as both joy and training for her brain. She joined community groups where she taught painting classes for seniors, organized book clubs, and participated in choir practices, finding that art and music stimulated regions of her brain that loved rhythm, color, and emotion. At night, she journaled not just what she did, but what she thanked life for, anchoring her mind to positivity and purpose. People marveled that at 104, she spoke without hesitation about ways to avoid Alzheimer's, but for Eleanor, It was simply the result of unwavering dedication, a lifetime of care that treated the brain as an organ deserving of fitness, love, and challenge. She encouraged anyone willing to listen to embrace movement, to feed their minds with knowledge and creativity, and to build strong social roots that tethered them to community and meaning. She urged them not to wait until warning signs appeared but to adopt preventive habits early, understanding that the brain, like any garden, must be tended long before the first frost to bear beauty for years to come. In the end, Eleanor's story was not just about avoiding a disease, but about celebrating life itself, about choosing every day to think, to feel, to connect, and to love, and in doing so weaving a tapestry of memories that not only endured but enriched everyone she met, leaving behind a legacy that reached far beyond the confines of her 104 years. Inspiring generations to pursue health with heart and to live each moment with intention, resilience, and hope.